think we are live now.
Good.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Oops, let me. I think we are live now.
Good.
I believe so, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. So we don't hear ourselves. There you go. But they can hear us for sure. Good afternoon. I am Kelly Bauda, the Administrative Director for the Tompkins County Industrial Development Agency, the IDA. I will conduct today's public hearing and record the minutes of the hearing. IDA board members present are Rich John, Chair, Jerry Dietz, and Deborah Dawson. This hearing is being held pursuant to a public notice published in accordance with Article 18A of the General Municipal Law in the Ithaca Journal on March 26, 2025. The purpose of this hearing is to afford the general public an opportunity to make statements and comments on the request by Court Street Ithaca, LLC, for financial assistance from the Tompkins County IDA. The project consists of the request to extend the term of the pilot agreement for 1 year and the authorization and delivery of the exemption of the New York State portion of the mortgage recording tax. The financial assistance contemplated by the IDA will consist of the addition of 1 year exemption from property taxes that will be offset in part by contractual payments in lieu of taxes by the company for the benefit of the affected taxing jurisdictions and exemption from the state share of the mortgage recording tax. Comments presented at this hearing will be taken into consideration by the Tompkins County IDA as part of its consideration of the application. The hearing will remain open until all submitted comments and members of the public who are present at the hearing have been given an opportunity to make statements or comments on the application. If you wish to speak at the hearing, please sign the speakers list. Speakers will have 3 minutes to provide comment. I will ask each speaker to come up to the table so the microphone can pick up the sound. Please state your name and address. If you are appearing as a representative of an organization or governmental entity, please identify the organization or entity and state its address. If you wish to submit a copy of your comments for the record, you may hand them to me or to Ina. Finally, I want to remind you that the purpose of this hearing is to afford you an opportunity to make comments about the request for financial incentives from the Tompkins County IDA. This is not a question and answer session. I will turn it over to Rich John, Chair of the IDA, for his remarks regarding public comments that were submitted prior to the hearing.
Thank you, Kelly. Welcome, everybody. This is really impressive. Somebody's touched a nerve. We have a lot of written comments. Sometimes I would read them into the record. I'm not going to do that today, but I pledge I will read these. I will go through them. But certainly for the people who are here today, we'll listen to you, and the other members of the IDA will get access to the YouTube and all of the written comments as well. I did have one comment I just wanted to make clear, that the Tompkins County Legislature introduced this commitment regarding lifelong's use in the Library Place building. It actually wasn't part of the IDA commitment. However, it certainly is a factor we can take into account. And I think we're going to, but I'm only one of 7. So we'll see where all that goes, but we're very glad to hear from you today. And I see there's a request for somebody to go first, please. Liza Berger.
Thank you.
And this is the sheet if anybody else wants to talk to us.
Good afternoon. Excuse me. I'm Liza Berger. I'm the Executive Director of Lifelong. We're at 119 West Court Street. We are a community center for older adults in Tompkins County that is adjacent to the Library Place property. And I'm here today to encourage you to ensure that any extension of the tax abatement to prospective buyers of Library Place is contingent on the continued occupancy agreement with Lifelong. When the Tompkins County Legislature voted on the Library Place project proposal made by Travis Hyde back in 2017, it was with the understanding that part of the project would include around 2,000 square feet of space in the form of a community room for Lifelong primarily to use for programming and services to older adults. In March of last year, 2024, Lifelong and Travis Hyde, or ex-Libris, signed a 20-year occupancy agreement, giving Lifelong non-exclusive use of this community room space. Since that time, Lifelong has hosted classes, health and wellness activities, grief support groups, programming for caregivers and care receivers, and special events that require a larger space than Lifelong's building next door provides. As a growing organization, we've planned for this space in our strategic planning process, and we rely on it for serving older adults in our community. While the property owner may change hands, the impact on our community remains the same. It's vital that any prospective buyer of this property understands and agrees to continue the occupancy agreement with Lifelong. My position and that of Lifelong's board of directors is that we are not interested in terminating our current occupancy agreement at Library Place. However, while not required, Lifelong's board of directors has extended a goodwill gesture to Park Grove Realty, the prospective buyers of Library Place, to help with some utility and maintenance costs of the Library Place community space. As of this afternoon, I'm pleased to say that we're getting closer to an agreement that works both for Park Grove and for Lifelong, and we are trying to work out final details. I know that you have a vote on Wednesday for this tax extension, and I urge you to please consider holding off on a vote for any extension of the tax abatement to prospective buyers until an addendum to our existing agreement is approved by both parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Herb Engman. Yes, my name is Herb Engman, and I am on the board of Lifelong. I won't repeat everything that Liza said. I agree with it all. I do want to make the point that it's my understanding that the total tax abatements for the entire agreement is $5.32 million. Now, originally, and I don't know what the extension would be. I couldn't figure that out from any of the materials online. So that would be interesting to know what the 1-year extension would be in addition to the 5.32 million. The original abatement was partially because there was the idea that the residents would be seniors, people over, I think, age 55. That was amended, and now anybody can go into the project. But this agreement we have with a Library Place would help provide some of the public good that was expressed during the initial negotiations for that total sum of money, the abatements. So we are encouraging the organization to make certain that that agreement will continue, and that'll be part of the public good that was originally intended to support seniors, of course, throughout the entire county. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Teresa.
I'm Teresa Alt of 206 Eddy Street in Collegetown, so in the city of Ithaca. This project was likely a predictable mistake from the beginning. Your meeting, IDA, in a few days will be a more appropriate time to discuss that history. The question today is what to do now as Park Grove, disguising itself as Court Street LLC, the prospective buyer of the property wants additional tax benefits. For once, I will admit that not granting the 2 additional benefits threatens to leave the building in the hands of an unidentified bank What the risk would be depends heavily on whether it's a local community-oriented bank or a national one that only seeks profit, or one or two banks that, as far as I can see, fake community orientation. But I have not been able to figure out which bank or banks hold the mortgage. So I further admit, I have to say, do go ahead with the tax benefits requested by Park Grove, but place legally enforceable conditions on them. Number one, the simplest, lifelong must be guaranteed free use of the community room and, of course, the nearby restrooms. Number two, there are an awful lot of spaces in the building that do not house people. Offices, of which there are already too many in Ithaca, a library, etc., etc. Since this is already no longer a strictly senior place, insist that those senior-oriented amenities be rebuilt as workforce housing. That's one of the things that's most needed here. Housing where low-paid people who work in the hotels and restaurants can live and walk to and from work in the dark night hours. Reduce the rents of present tenants who expected all those amenities. After all, there may well be twice as many apartments to rent. Again, make the conditions legally enforceable.
Thank you. Lisa Monroe.
Did you want to go, can Bill go before me?
Oh, I'm sorry. He is before you. Bill Lesser.
There we go. Thank you.
He was trying to ride on the elevator and I was on the stairs,
Yeah.
so that's how I got.
They just have better things to say than me. So.
Thank you for hearing this. I'm Bill Lesser, 406 Coddington Road. I'm here representing the County Office for the Aging as the chair of the advisory board. The county, and I can't get away with too much misstatement about this, the county requires that public agencies indeed have advisory committees. And that those advisory committees have membership representing broadly the county. And so as a result of the membership, we can speak with pretty good confidence about a broad feeling throughout the county, both in the rural and the urban areas. That said, we want to speak on behalf of a more formalized agreement for the use of the community space for lifelong at Library Place. To make a connection with real estate, at our recent meeting with our monthly meeting of the office, we had a discussion with INHS, who were describing early plans for the construction of senior-only housing on State Street. Describing it, they said that the great majority of the spaces they're going to build there for rent apartments are going to be one bedroom only. And why is that the case? Because that's the reality of most seniors, whether it be in Tompkins County or around the country, that they live alone. In short, that means that they're often lonely. And because of that, there's a big need for some kind of public assembly place for people in this group to get together. The community space and the the community space at Library Place serves that purpose. And Liza has just described to you a number of the particular uses that lifelong puts us, whether it's direct meetings of seniors or meetings of various service groups for this community. It's really critical that there be such available space, and there are not many of those opportunities throughout the county. My understanding is, and Liza indicated this, that the discussions with Park Grove about meeting an agreement about this space are moving ahead very smoothly. Nonetheless, I think it's very important for everybody, and particularly you as you think about extending any tax benefits, to realize that an informal agreement is really not quite sufficient to achieve that goal. In order for Lifelong to proceed, they need to make a number of grant proposals and so on. They can't do so in good faith, and suppliers of those grants have every reason to believe that or expect that they're going to be able to deliver on those commitments. Those commitments often require a public space, and till now, that's been served to a large extent through the community space at Library Place. But it's important that the agreement for a continuation is not purely good faith informal, but that it has some agreement for shared space, not exclusive use, just shared space. My understanding is that Lifelong's arrangements are sufficiently predictable and done in advance that it should be possible to work out an agreement as to sharing the space. That's the case. One more point that I wanted to make, and this would be more of a personal note, because that's not anything I've had an opportunity yet to check with my other board members. And that is for as Herb mentioned, approximately $5 million that has been granted or may be granted. Seems that formalized access to the community space would be little enough for the public and the taxpayers to expect. Leave you with that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Lisa Monroe.
Hi, Lisa Monroe, the Director of the Tompkins County Office for the Aging. It's 214 West Martin Luther King Jr. Street. It's a long one, Ithaca. And I'm really here, I don't have much more to say than what's already been said, but I do want people to know that I'm here in support of Lifelong, and I encourage you to, ensure that any extension of the tax abatement is really contingent on that occupancy agreement that Liza mentioned. As the older adult population continues to increase, it's really vital for us to have spaces like this, an equitable option for people, older adults, to access across the county. They come from all over, as Bill said. Our mission of our office is to assist older adults and persons with long-term care needs in their homes and community, or to live independently in their homes and communities with quality of life and dignity. We really rely on our aging services network to do that. We can't do it all directly through our office. So our partners like Lifelong that we contract with to do certain programming that we're required to do under the Older Americans Act requires space. And they don't have that space with the growing population that we have right now. I hope you consider the feedback that you receive from my colleagues and their board members. I think it's just really important to continue some kind of, and as everybody said, legal, because a lot of this we've gone through for many years now that has been just hearsay almost, and we haven't had any foot to stand on to really say, let's, hold us to our word, I guess you'd say. So, that's really all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And is it Marilyn Weber?
Hi.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Webb. I live at 703 North Cayuga Street in Ithaca. I'm on the board at Lifelong and also on the Strategic Planning Committee. So as Liza stated already, the Tompkins County in their original approval for Library Place project was with the understanding that Lifelong would have that space. And you said earlier it wasn't this board, but the Tompkins County Board. I understand that. The occupancy agreement between Library Place and Lifelong has allowed us to have classes, activities, and so on that would not fit in our Lifelong building. The activities in Lifelong are going on concurrently with what's happening in Library Place. It's just that we need more space. more spaces, and the one in Library Place is larger. So it allows us to have bigger events with more participants. In approving the Library Place project, our county and our taxpayers made a commitment to serve our senior members. Since taxpayers of Tompkins County shoulder the burden caused by tax breaks and abatements, we would like to see the county continue its commitment originally agreed upon in providing a large community area for our senior community. So,
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the IDA?
Can I ask a question? Is that all right? I know this is kind of a
Typically no, but go ahead.
I know. So I wanted to go back to Liza's narrative about this goodwill gesture. I wanted to understand the agreement that was, the informal agreement that was in place didn't require Lifelong to shoulder any financial obligation concerning utilities and maintenance. Is that correct?
That is correct. It is a formal agreement. It is a legally binding agreement.
The one that's already in effect?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so no, when we initially signed this agreement, no, there was no cost to Lifelong, and the agreement was for a 10-year period with 2 optional 5-year extensions. Lifelong chose to continue the agreement.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further business to come before the IDA at this public hearing? I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. The time is now 1:53 p.m. This hearing has been held open since 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Sorry, to allow for public comment on the application. Before we close, is there anyone else who would like to make a statement regarding the application? Okay. The time is now 1:54. The hearing is now concluded. I thank you all for attending.